All right, gang. McFrazzle Wiener here. I think last time we left off, we were discussing this stuff. I haven't done anything with that since then, and here's why. Let's spin around. I need to learn to weld. So, you guys saw these things, this gear, in the last video. That's a new machine. This is kind of my barn find. That's a newer machine. Now, let's talk about the capability of that real quick and just what I'm doing here. So, all this stuff, all these booger welds, and all of these, this is, I didn't want to start gluing metal together. I wanted to start practicing beads. There, I was actually thinking I was starting to get it dialed in, They're a little tall, but you're not welding into a gap. You're not welding two pieces of metal together. You're just putting wire on top of material. I did that, and I had the polarity reversed on this. So here's the ground cable, and it's connected to the negative. I had it connected to the positive over here. So what that does is that energizes the metal, through the ground clamp. It energizes the piece through the ground clamp, and then your wire becomes the negative. And I thought, man, I used to weld a long time ago. Like, I worked at a weld shop, even took welding through high school, and I was decent at it. I mean, I'm not going to say that I was a nuclear welder or anything like that, or even that I was a great welder, but I was comfortable, and I could lay down some stuff okay. And I just could not get this stuff to work out. Couldn't figure out what was going on. I mean, I built my workbench in kind of a hurry, and I'm going to grind that off. That's horrible. But it just booger welded, and I just thought, man, I'm really, really not taking to this like I did before. And then once I got that figured out, that my polarity was screwed up, read the manual, boys. Then I started, the welder cleaned up. It didn't sound right. That was the biggest thing about it, is I couldn't figure out why the thing didn't sound right. But it sounds perfect now. It's got that nice sizzle. They're a little tall, but again, we're not joining metal together. We're not putting a rod into a gap. We were just laying rod on top of a flat piece. So they're always going to be a little tall like that. But you get over here and look at these, it's like, okay, it's starting to come back now. So this is, again, with the ARC Captain MIG 200. All of this was just done in just a few minutes. So it's not, these are some of the earlier ones. These were big gaps. What I did, well, that was a small gap on that one, but on this one, I didn't cut this piece all the way through. That way I was welding in, I wanted to practice a gap. And you can see, we got that's probably a 1/16 of an inch. And we were able to lace that in and start stacking it up. And that, by the time I got to here, these were some of the last welds I did. Started to get the machine settings figured out, and started to kind of get comfortable with the rhythm. This bottom one, I haven't scrubbed these either. I don't know if they're going to look any better when you hit them. Not really. This bottom one was the cursive E method, and then this one was just a back and forth with the gun, just forward and back and forward and back, and trying to build those dimes. I think for me so far, the cursive E method is working a little bit better. So, but that's what we're doing. Last time we talked about those welders, and I just wanted to show you what they did. And this is all, none of this is flux core. This is 7525 argon CO2, 220 volts. These are 3/16, that's quarter, that's eighth, and then that's like 083 wall. So working with different thicknesses of metal and stuff like that. And for the quarter inch and the 3/16 stuff, that's about where the machine seemed happy. I cranked this down between like 6.2, and you could really tell that it wanted that extra, quarter or half a meter per minute. And that's how this machine reads. It's not inches per minute, it's meters per minute. So, that's quite a bit of wire. For you guys that actually know how to weld and stuff like that, definitely chime in and you know, shed any constructive criticism you can. I'm all for learning, and I am by no means saying that I'm doing it right or telling anybody how to do it. I'm just showing you what I'm trying to learn to do, so that when we get to this, ignore the shop, it's a fucking mess. Once we start doing this stuff, and it's just tacked in now and I stop there, you know, I want it to look decent. I want it to look like somebody gave a damn. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. We're learning to weld. I'm hoping that I can get enough practice in. I've been doing this a little bit every night. Heck, at 5:30 in the morning, I was out here in my jammies welding, you know, practicing on stuff. And that's actually when I figured out, I watched somebody else's video, and that's when I figured out that my polarity was reversed. So I come running out here with my coffee, and I could immediately tell a difference in the way the machine performed. So what we're going to do later, I've got a new gun coming for that and a new power switch. You can see the power switch is broke off, and it worked. I turned that machine on and fired it up, and it worked, but the liner had a tear in it, so the wire wouldn't feed through the liner, and that gun was pretty old and beat up, so I just went ahead and ordered a new gun for that. But what we're going to do is we're going to learn to weld with this because it runs right now, and then once I get the barn find fixed, we'll weld with that one. Now, here's what I can tell you about these two machines. That's the ARC Captain. Obviously, they're an imported deal, fairly new on the market, blah, blah, blah. And that's the old tried and true Lincoln. That thing weighs about 15 pounds. I bet that thing weighs close to 50. That sucker is heavy. Obviously, it's a lot wider. It's not as tall or as long as this one, but you know, it's Lincoln, and so my guess is that thing's obviously just built to a different quality. You know, the Lincoln and the Millers are supposed to be some of the, you know, stuff that's at the top of the heap. So, but we're gonna get comfortable with welding, and we're gonna run this machine, and then we'll run that machine, and we'll just see how the two stack up against each other. And that'll be, you know, kind of a fun video to do, just a comparison of the two, of these. Now, I want to say that was about a $1,300 machine when it was new, and in good operable condition now, it looks like you can find them for between, depending on where you shop, typically they're a little bit north of $500. And again, I paid $150 for that thing, and it does work. I have played with it. I just need to get that new MIG gun installed so we can actually really test it out and do some work with it. So look for that. That'll probably be the next video I do, and I'm hoping that I'll do it this weekend. It's just a matter of, you know, time and stuff like that. And if that machine welds a lot better, obviously it'll get the nod and it'll do the Chevelle chassis stuff. And then if that ends up being the much better, you know, it performs better MIG welder, what I'll do with this one, let me see. Oops, I passed it. We will start practicing in TIG mode. Now, I have had a TIG welder before. I have TIG welded before. Was I good at it? I wasn't awful at it, but I'm not going to say I was good at it. So, if I feel like I get really comfortable with the MIG and that machine performs really well, then I will start practicing the TIG. And I have a TIG torch. There's a TIG torch down there. We're going to start practicing TIG welding. And at that point, I think I'll probably get a tripod and set my camera up. Instead of me just talking through the camera to you guys, I'll actually film some videos of me doing some stuff. So we're going to kind of change up the way we do the channel. But, so look for this video, hopefully this weekend, of a showdown between these two. All right, gang. Wormser out. Later.